Everybody's favorite topic, the resume. You must polish your resume. It has to be bulletproof. It has to be rock solid. Within those first 10 seconds that the recruiter is going to look at your resume, they have to be so blown away by how perfect of a candidate you are that they will call you immediately or send you an email immediately. This is the goal of your resume. It is an interviewer getter tool. That's all that it is. That doesn't mean you need to spend all the time in the world making your resume absolutely perfect, but it really has to stand out. And in order for it to stand out, you must follow specific rules. Remember, the average person, myself included, as a hiring manager or a recruiter, is only going to spend 5 to 15 seconds looking at your resume. And if we have to scroll through a multiple page resume, or if we're not blown away, or if it doesn't have the keywords that we want, or if it's organized weirdly and has typos and spelling mistakes, we are not going to consider you for the position. It just isn't going to happen. Now imagine you're the perfect candidate, but you just made one typo and you lost your job, the ability to get an interview. Well, isn't that a waste of time and waste of life? So definitely focus on making your resume perfect. And I'm going to take you through how to do that. And we also are going to go through an example of a bad resume and how to fix it. That resume, by the way, will be mine. Again, a resume is just a tool to get interviews. Once you've gotten your interviews, the resume is already done with its purpose. So how do we maximize the chances of getting as many interviews as possible? Well, the first thing we need to do is have a list of things we're going to follow while building our resume. Let's take a look at what they are. The first thing, of course, is to use a resume template. You're not a graphics designer, most probably. You're an electrical engineer. Focus on doing electrical engineering and use someone else's resume template, someone who's put in a ton of work to make this template completely perfect visually and succinct. Next, make your resume fit in one page. Doesn't matter how much experience you have. Doesn't matter if you got 35 years of experience and you've done thousands of different things. It really doesn't matter. Nobody's going to scroll through a multiple page resume. It has to be one page. Write succinctly, write clearly. Don't make it one page with, 5-point font. It needs to be one page, 12-point font with as few words as possible that can communicate exactly who you are and what you've done and what you want to do. Next, include words from the job description for the job that you're posting, for the job that you're applying. If you're applying for SpaceX, for example, make sure that you have aerospace-related things inside of your resume. If you're flying for Tesla, make sure that you have electric vehicle-related things in your resume, even if you don't have experience with them. Write it as an objective. Hey, my objective is to work for a space company, or my objective is to work for an electric vehicle company. Be very, very clear about what you want. Be very, very clear about what you've done and who you are. Next, when you're talking about your past experiences, measure impact, not responsibilities. Don't just say, I was responsible for all the avionics, or I was responsible for all of the power systems on board SpaceX. No. Measure the impact, not what you were responsible for, but what you actually were able to do. Next, include your experience, for sure. Include personal projects you've worked on. Companies really like to see that outside of the workspace, you're also dedicated and driven, and especially as an electrical engineer, that you have had hobbyist projects. You've worked on Arduinos, you've worked on Raspberry Pis, you've built circuit boards in your own time and not just for your work. That is dedication for a true maker. Definitely include your education. It really matters where you did your bachelor's and master's degrees. Your GPAs pretty much don't matter. I wouldn't include that. But, if you went to a really good university, as an example, you definitely should put that on your resume. In addition, you got to put in your technical skills. Talk about what programming languages you know, what languages you know. English, Chinese, Persian, maybe, etc., and what software you're able to work with. So these are just some of the very, very basic key rules about resumes. Now let's take a look at an example of a moderately okay resume and see how it works with all of these. So this is actually my own personal resume from last year, and I use it as an example for some things on what to do and some things on what not to do. So let's see if we can take a look. All right. Yes, my middle name is Daniel. Up here, I had my phone number and my email address and my mailing address, which is really useful. So those are the first things that you see. At the very top, I have an objective, and I really liked that I had this objective. However, if you actually read it, it says, highly motivated individual with a passion for aviation and engineering, challenge me. Well, that's not really an objective, is it? That really is more describing who I am. I'm being asked to be challenged. That's kind of an objective, but it really doesn't very clearly explain what I want to do. And the issue was, I actually didn't really know what I wanted to do. So this was more of an open-ended resume that I would send to everybody. If I wanted to send a resume to a very specific, tailored company, then I would write, my objective is to work for SpaceX, or my objective is to work for Tesla. But that was not the case for this generic resume. The first section is work experience. And I talk about my most recent work experience, which is totally fine. I've got the company here and then the position in italics. Now, to be very clear, I created this resume template completely myself. I did not use one off the shelf, which was a big pain. And I used Microsoft Word to do all the formatting and everything. So as you can see, it's very Microsoft Wordy. But already at first glance, the only nice thing about this is the logos. The logos catch your attention, they're colorful, they're interesting. That's pretty much it. If you were to print this on black and white, this would not really be a very interesting resume. There's just too many words, it's cluttered. And the words themselves are responsibilities, they're not impacts. So for example, I led the architect and design of all of Joby's cockpit avionics systems. Well, what does that actually mean? What did I accomplish? I didn't really say that. I also said that I'm responsible for the electrical design of multiple flight control system electronics. Well, that's really not good either. It doesn't measure the impact. What did I do? Did I get through the PDR cycle, the critical design review? What did I actually accomplish? Did I create prototype devices? Did they actually go on the airplane? Did they work? Et cetera, et cetera. And there seems to be, some kind of odd thing here where I have two roles, and it was kind of unclear. So it's a little bit not well done. As you go down, you see I've also got a ton of abbreviations. And these are not good for people that don't know what they are. If you don't know what CFI, CFII, or MEI mean, these are Certified Flight Instructor certificates that I have, but most people don't know what this means. So if I'm sending this to an electrical engineering recruiter, chances are that recruiter is not going to know what any of this stuff is. So not a good idea to put stuff in your resume that people don't know anything about. Next is my education. I did my master's and bachelor's at Stanford in electrical engineering, and my GPA is on here. You really don't need to put your GPA here unless you are a complete college new grad. Even if you are, they're probably going to ask you if they really care, and most don't care. I've actually never had any company ever ask me what my GPA was in university. So remove this. This is not great. And honestly, it's good that I got a design award, but again, not so useful for this job. What's more useful is what skills do I have that would be useful in this specific job? What are they looking for? And for that, you have to go to the job description, and you have to take parts of that job description and put it on your resume. Next, it's good that I have some projects and certifications. I talked about a personal project I worked on at home for an altitude-controlled latex balloon. Although this is a little bit too complicated, I really need to dumb this down for most people that read this because they may not understand exactly what was going on here. And again, I talk about what I was responsible for, but not necessarily what I accomplished. And the last one here is my pilot's license, again, full of abbreviations, completely unnecessary for electrical engineering positions. This is just too much information. The additional skill section here is actually really well done. I talked about the languages that I know, English, Mandarin, and Farsi, the software that I am proficient in, and this is not software programming, this is software applications like Altium Designer, Blender, Spice, etc. And then the programming languages I know, and as well as my publications. So all in all, I would pretty much rate this resume as a B, B-. We can do much better. And there are websites that will allow us to do that. So if we go to this website called app.enhancedcv, and I'm going to link this as a resource to this lecture, you get to this website, app.enhancedcv.com. And it asks you to enter your name, and it's going to create a resume for you. So I'm just going to enter my name, Arya Tejrati. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Let's assume we don't have an existing resume to start with, and we want to start from complete scratch. And we're an electrical engineer, so we'll type in electrical engineer. And there you go. We have so many different types of templates to choose from. You want something that stands out, something that people are going to look at and say, wow, I want to hire this person. They really succinctly know how to describe themselves. Everything is visually very appealing to me, and it is exactly what matters. I like to go with elegance, so let's use the elegant template. As you can see, it's going to fill out the majority of things for me pretty quickly, the subtopic. And all I have to do is go in here and input all of my experience, and it does all the formatting and everything for me. At the very top, it has my name and my current occupation or what I'm looking for, phone number, email address, website if you have a GitHub or your own personal portfolio, that's a good place to add it, and where you currently live. You don't have to give your absolute address, but definitely give the general location, like I live in the Bay Area or I live in Los Angeles. A photo is not necessary, but I prefer it. A photo really can show how enthusiastic you are. If you don't have an enthusiastic photo, don't include it. But if you do, it really can help get the recruiter to see you as a human being and rather than just a piece of paper. Your summary comes at the very top. Talk exactly about what you want to do and what makes you the best candidate for the job that you're applying for. Really, really important. Go through your experience, talk about what we talked about, talk about impact, not responsibilities. Put in your education, your strengths. This is really important. What are you best at? What's your unique talent? For me personally, I'm able to look at system level electrical designs and make architectural decisions at the system level. Something super simple. Only put one thing. What is your unique talent? What makes you unique? What achievements are you most proud of? This is really important. Maybe it's a patent that you've done. Maybe it's a personal project you worked on. Maybe it's your GPA. It could be anything, but make it one thing and make it really, really awesome. Make it stand out. Then you can talk about your skills. Here we can put in the software programming languages that you know and the software that you're competent at working on. Then languages. And what are your passions? For me, my passion is flying. You know, it's not my main job. I really love aviation. Put that in there. Somebody that reads your resume might actually be a pilot, or they might also have the same interests that you have, and it might make you stand out. As an exercise, I want all of you to go and create a really, really, really adamant and solid resume. Something that will really open the eyes of the interviewer and the recruiter such that they're going to want to talk to you. Once you're done with that, I want you to go to this website called JobScan. If you're willing, you really should upload your resume and upload the job description and see whether or not your resume and the job description mesh well together. And I'll show you what this does. If you input your resume into JobScan and then add the job that you're trying to look for, it's going to send you results. The main result is going to be your match rate, which will be in the order of 0 to 100%. And it will tell you what to do to improve your resume such that the recruiter or hiring manager is going to be more likely to call you based on what they read. It's a really, really awesome tool. There are some free ones out there. This one is paid, but it's a great investment. Resumes are one of the #1 ways we get interviews. All right, that's the end of this section. After this, we're going to talk about updating your LinkedIn and then how to actually get interviews in the first place in the section, the lecture after that.